because really what they do is their first target are American Jews who are constantly being bombarded with mailings, and I get mailings myself, by the Jewish organization saying that Israel is under attack, Jews are under attack, another Holocaust is around the corner with Ahmadinejad from Iran. And so the first targets of the Zionist propaganda are the American Jewry. Most of them don't respond, but a third of them are hardcore, dedicated lobbyists for Israel, who I believe put Israel's interest before that of the American people.
Right.
And that is why people should be interested in the Israel-Palestine struggle. We have a war in Iraq, which was orchestrated by a major segment of the lobby, otherwise known as the neocons, who claimed credit for it. You have Douglas Feith, Paul Wolfowitz, Louis Libby, and Richard Pearl, all with strong connections, family connections to Israel. They bragged about being the orchestrators of the war, and the lobby at AIPAC, which is the organized official lobby, supported that, and the same group of people have been pushing since for the U.S. to attack Iran. That's why all Americans should be concerned, because should there be an attack on Iran, we will have a catastrophe that will make Iraq look like a Sunday school picnic.
Yes, obviously. We should have learned from the 8-year war against Iran that backed up Saddam Hussein.
That's right.
But the U.S. doesn't seem to learn any historic lessons, as we can see by the mess we're in now. I wanted to talk for a bit about the lobby and its impact on the U.S. Congress and the president. The
Congress is totally enthralled to the lobby. They get votes 404 to 6. There was a time when the Congressional Black Caucus had some members who resisted the lobby. One by one they were picked off, the last being Cynthia McKinney and before that Earl Hilliard. Now you have a bunch of what Malcolm X would call House Negroes. You might call it the House Negro Caucus. They say jump and they say how high.
Right, because they're financed by them.
They're financed. The money, you need a lot of money to run a political campaign, and the truth is, if you do not go along, they will oppose you. So,
and they did so in the case of Hilliard and McKinney.
And Cynthia McKinney. What happens, you go into Congress, the AIPAC, the official lobby, they don't give you money. The money, they guide where the money goes. But they go to every new member of Congress and they ask them to sign a pledge to Israel. Now, I think there's a certain point where this becomes treason. You have Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco. The Speaker of the House has made numerous speeches, and I have them, and they're on the record, and to AIPAC, the official Israeli lobby, at their convention, pledging
spell that out for our viewers.
For Israel.
American-Israel
Political Affairs Committee. It's not. It is a registered lobby for Israel, but it is not registered as a foreign agent. The only foreign lobby that is not forced to register as a foreign agent. This enables them to write speeches for congressmen, to be at every committee meeting that takes place dealing with the Middle East. And the irony is the biggest winner in the last election, an election that was against the Iraq War. The American people voting against the Iraq War.
Overwhelmingly,
the biggest
winner they were voting against the war.
Was the Israel lobby, because Pelosi came in there and appointed pro-war Jewish hawks to the chairmanship of every major committee or subcommittee dealing with the Middle East. So it's ironic that here are people, now you have Tom Lantos down the peninsula, who now is against the war, but he was a hawk on the war. He was a hawk in the 91 war, and he's a hawk today. You know, he's a hawk for Iran today. Now he's for peace in Iraq. They've destroyed Iraq as a potential enemy of Israel. They destroyed the leading country in the Arab world with a historic culture that has been destroyed.
We just don't have enough time to talk about everything I want to get to, but there are a couple of points I think we really should get to before we run out. And that one of them is the conditions that exist now in the Gaza Strip particularly and the West Bank, but also, I want you to touch on the fact that Hamas was democratically elected by the Palestinian people, And as soon as it tried to take power, the international community, which, as you know, is supposed to be represented by the United States, the United Nations, Israel, and
well, it's
Russia.
It's Russia. Yeah.
I'm Russia, and
it's Russia, the UN, United Nations, and the U.S., the UK, the UN, and Russia.
UK. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and of course we
EU,
know that
excuse me, EU.
The European Union, absolutely.
European Union, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's all the same. It doesn't matter.
Yes, but they do not represent the world's peoples. They represent the international elite. But in any case, I wanted to talk about the conditions. I mean, I remember the bureaucrats talking as soon as Hamas was in power, saying we're going to put them on a diet, meaning the Palestinian people who are already suffering horrendous deprivation. Would you elaborate on that? The conditions that the Palestinians are dealing with?
An Israeli official, Associate of Ariel Sharon, said we were going to put them on a strict diet. And what they have done, Gaza has always been a prison. What they did at this point is enlarge the wall area of the walls. So you have Gaza surrounded by Israel on two sides and by Egypt on the other. And Egypt has totally been a collaborator with the United States and Israel since Camp David. And Israel on the water, on the seaside. So goods cannot go from Gaza or into Gaza without Israeli permission. And they make all kinds of claims that Hamas people are being trained in Iran and arms are coming in from Iran, but they've never found any. And they have eye in the sky, you see.
Mm-hmm.
The tragedy is medical aid can't get in there. It's a horrible situation.
And the checkpoints, there are a zillion checkpoints.
Well, that's in the West Bank. In Gaza, they can't get fuel. Israel's cutting back on their fuel supplies. They've cut back on their electricity. Gaza is totally dependent on Israel for their fuel and their electricity, and this is a major tragedy, which we have enabled.
Almost completely out of time. We have only about a minute or so left. So, Jeffrey, I would like you to just talk a little bit, very briefly, about what I think should be a one-state solution as opposed to a two-state solution. Very briefly.
A two-state solution is out of the question at this point. There's not enough left to make a state. If a secular state, one state, worked for South Africa with its problems, Israel, Palestine should be no exception. And I think every American, this is an American problem, because America is responsible for financing the continued dispossession of the Palestinians, and this has led to a war in Iraq and conceivably to Iran, a war in Iran. This is why every American has to focus on this problem, not for the benefit of the Palestinians, but for the benefit of the United States and nothing else.
Absolutely. Well, Jeffrey, I can't thank you enough for being our guest. I just wish we had had more time because there's so much more to discuss. But thank you so much, Jeffrey Blankfort.
My pleasure.
Najada?
Yes, and thank you for watching Freedom is a Constant Struggle here on SF Access. Join us next week, same time, same place, for our rebroadcast of our very first show with Pierre Laboursière.
Of the Haiti Action Committee, and he will be giving you history, and he will be talking about Levinsky, Pierre Antoine, who was kidnapped and unfortunately has still not been rescued. So please tune in next week to Freedom is a Constant Struggle for Pierre Laboursière, and who will give you a history of Haiti. And also the court date, before I forget, January 10th, please join us at 850 Bryant Street at 9 a.m. Pack the courtroom for the San Francisco 8 who will be back in court and will be arraigned and will enter pleas. And we definitely need your support, your ongoing support to free our political prisoners.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yes.